muted. When it comes up, it should be. And
I want to make sure.
All right, looks like we are still live on YouTube now for about 10 seconds. So,
all right, cool.
So let's do it. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Campfire podcast. This is the Professor
and Mitch.
And today we're going to be talking with Joe Chiapetta, or Joey Chips, as you might know him. But before we start talking to Joe, let's grab that crypto news from Paul, the crypto curator, delivered by the Crypto Mitch.
Welcome to Thursday. Big news of the day is that 21.2 million U.S. adults own cryptocurrency. Woohoo! Altcoin Daily says it's a trap. Bitcoin manipulation. Peter McCormick talks with Stephen McClurg and Jeff Kilberg about the coming Bitcoin ETF and the wall of money it will bring. Sylvan says more and more people think Bitcoin is a good idea. Dive down the rabbit hole and follow the crypto curator. And on price action news today, Bitcoin hit $50,000.
Oh no, what a crash. So terrible.
It's
terrible,
going
terrible,
down.
Terrible.
Sell.
All right. Well, let's go back in time then to 2019, October, Crypto Invest Summit in Los Angeles, possibly one of the coolest conventions that we've been to.
Yes.
And this super cool Joey Chips guy comes strolling up to our Campfire booth and talk about a moment of excitement to learn about, some of the art that he does and everything. This was like right before NFTs kind of really came on our radar. I think we talked with Andrew Prell that day too about NFTs. And actually, I think we got a couple from him, which I should probably go back to my old phone and try to dig up. I might even have some from you too, Joey. I don't even know. But that was kind of when history started becoming a thing. We had Joey on the show. I don't remember what episode, but it's been probably about a year now. And my dear God, has the NFT space changed since we've last talked?
Understatement.
Holy crap. But why don't you, before we get into the changes, Joey, do you want to just kind of give a rundown of who you are, give the people your background a little bit for anybody who hasn't heard you yet?
Sure. I'm originally from Chicago, spent most of my life there, and then the past 5 years in Los Angeles area. We're out in Riverside, California, and I've been in the arts for pretty much my entire life. Started drawing in my grandparents' basement when I think I remember doing that when I was about 5. And as soon as I could figure out how to get my work out there, I started publishing comics and was part of the zine scene. And as soon as I started hearing about cryptocurrency, I started doing comics about cryptocurrency. This was maybe 2014, 15. Put some of those in a larger book that was about all kinds of things. And then as soon as I heard you could actually put this stuff on the blockchain and connect it to tokens and things like that, I was all over that. And I've just been adopting the different blockchains as they grow and expand. And I'm still on it today. I'm grateful to just be with you guys again. I had a blast last time we were together. So you guys are amazing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, likewise. It was a good time having you on the show for sure. So we're stoked to get into the second one, definitely. So you mentioned there that you've kind of switched chains a few times, and just kind of with what's current, what's piquing your interest at the time. Are you mostly on Wax right now, and where did you come from?
So I started on the Bitcoin blockchain using Counterparty. And I had a lot of just fun there. Probably some of my freshest, liveliest stuff is still there on the Counterparty blockchain through something called the Crystals Craft Collection. And this was back when it was not super user friendly. You had to figure out everything, and you need a couple different cryptos to do things, because one was from the exchange, one was to use the Counterparty network and the Bitcoin network, and then there was even another token that I was using too. So that then eventually Ethereum came out with their token standard. So I quickly was one of the first people on Super Rare, and I still am involved in a lot of resales there and Maker's Place as well. So that stuff's still moving. I have a lot of stuff that keeps moving and reselling on there. Fast forward to modern day, along came Wax, basically a blockchain that kind of looked at all the different innovations over the years and says, okay, well, we like this, we don't like this. And they took the best of everything, and they made a nearly perfect blockchain for content creators that's user friendly. There's nothing you need to download. You could use a web browser. It's pretty dummy proof, and that's, sometimes that can be neat. So I enjoy it, and then on top of that, I still think Ethereum will make a wide scale comeback once they figure out the gas prices. But for most people entering the market, when they see the high gas fees on Ethereum, that's been going on for months and months, it's just not it's not going to be new people are going to come in and stay in until this gets fixed. Meanwhile, Wax is just, there's no transaction fees. So it's, everybody's just doing business like it should. So, and again, I'm not trying to poo-poo Ethereum, but it's just, until they get this fixed, only the whales that can afford to spend $100 on a transaction are going to be doing most of the stuff. But really the growth is going to come from new people into the art market that can do real world stuff. In the real world, you're not paying $100 to buy a $50 item. So Wax has it figured out. It's going great. And, I'm not married to one chain. I'm married to my wife. I love her. She's awesome. And so, there's room to do stuff on both. But at this time, Ethereum's just not, it needs to really up its game.
I couldn't agree with you more, Joey. When you go to send, okay, so I did a tweet the other day. It was on my third anniversary of being on Twitter. And so I put it out. I said, okay, so whoever guesses the first cryptocurrency I bought, I'll send you some. So one of my followers guessed Ethereum, and I was like, okay, cool, because he was right. So I went and made a transaction. I was going to send him $10 worth of Ethereum, and it was going to cost me $26 to send it. So I clicked send, told him, hey, it's on its way, blah, blah, blah. Congratulations. Thanks for, playing along, and thanks for following me, supporting me, whatever. Well, the next morning I look at the DM and he's like, it didn't go through. And I look back and it was canceled. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, okay. So at that point, I'm like, Ethereum has its place. It's a great platform for building on. I think it's very well designed in that sense, but it's falling short miserably simply because of costs of transactions and just the greed. It can't be anything more than that when it comes to miners, because miners are saying, well, all right, so we're going to make you pay more to make sure that you get your transaction processed. And if you don't pay enough, you're going to go on the back burner. And if we get to you, we get to you. And if we don't, you just get, declined.
That's ridiculous. It's not really, like, I don't know. I'm going to play devil's advocate here just because I love Ethereum so very much, but I also fully empathize with the pain of using Ethereum. That said, it's not the miners like saying the fees are going to be higher. It's kind of automated, right? Like people are just willing to put higher numbers in for gas fees. And so the EVM essentially assigns it based on who pays the most gas. They get higher priority automatically. So if a bunch of people are willing to pay more to get their transaction to go through because they're going to sell this $20,000 NFT and the transaction fee is only $250, then whatever.
Yeah.
But when it comes to scaling up, that's obviously the big issue, right? So Ethereum is wonderful in that it's kind of like Bitcoin. It's very relatively decentralized. I mean, we could get into arguments all day long about if it's really decentralized when you start looking at mining and how mining pools work and stuff like that. But we'll save that for another 2-hour discussion. So effectively speaking, Ethereum is more decentralized than some of the smaller blockchains in that there are more nodes and there's a larger distribution of data and process execution, which is very beneficial when you're looking at something like blockchain, because that's some of the key aspects of the blockchain is that the data is widely distributed. That said, there's major issues right now. And like you said, it's about the new users coming in when it comes down to adoption and that kind of thing. Nobody's going to come in and be willing to pay $100, right away for a transaction. So it causes problems in that respect. But I think Ethereum has massive potential in the long run, but it's just a matter of ironing out those gas fees, which is, I say ironing out, it's climbing a freaking mountain 10 times over. figuring out a consensus mechanism that is secure, fast, and scalable is like almost impossible. But somebody will find a way. That said, I have relatively recently finally found myself on Wax, a
Oh,
couple of
nice.
Tezos platforms as well, and I'm certainly enjoying the nice low cost minting, or no cost in some cases.
Over.
I have not, but I mean, there's a use for everything. I think that, you know, those platforms may grow and could eventually become more decentralized than Ethereum. I mean, just because it's what is quote unquote the most robust at this point in time doesn't mean it will always be the case. If they can't solve the gas fee problem, it's never going to recover from that, you know.
So
But
which
there's
is
a lot
it,
of people
Professor?
banking on the change.
Which is it? Which platform is it? And I think it's I think it's one of the auction houses that allow the transaction to actually be absorbed by the seller rather than the purchaser having to pay for the fees to make the purchase. Is that true?
You might be thinking of OpenSea, which
Yeah.
is one existence of. So OpenSea has recently introduced their new version of their 1155 collections, which rather than actually minting directly to the blockchain when you create an item, you essentially just create the item, don't pay any fees, and then when the item is purchased, in that purchase transaction is essentially the minting transaction, but it mints it to the buyer's wallet, but assigns you as the creator. So essentially, they're just paying the original minting fees instead of a purchase transaction gas fee. So more or less, OpenSea just eliminated one step of the process. It also kind of adds some conveniences in that you can now, as a creator, you can create collections of items and you can go in and edit them because you haven't minted them yet. So you can still edit them before they're purchased and then minted to the blockchain. Downside is, huge advantage of this blockchain thing is that we can mint something to the blockchain and have a verifiable timestamp of when that item was put on the blockchain. So you have now this buffer period of where you've created an item, but it's not on the blockchain until it's purchased, and now it lives on the blockchain. So depending on what mechanisms we build in the future, for like creation, origination, or creation verification, you know, data verification, that kind of thing, you might run into problems with that. So there's two-edged swords and everywhere we look,
Yeah.
NFTs, but there's a lot of cool solutions coming from it too.
So now what about, you know, okay, so going to the psychology of somebody making a purchase, somebody wanting to buy something, right? If there's a fee attached to it that's put out as a fee, generally it kind of pushes people away. But if that fee is rolled into the purchase price and the purchaser doesn't necessarily see it as a fee, but it's in the price of what it is that they're buying. So like if an NFT had the gas fee put into the price that it was selling for, that covered that gas fee and eliminated that levy and that weight on the purchaser, is that something that's in the realm of possibility?
You would have an ever-changing price, but I don't know, Joey, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's possible if the markup's high enough, but because the gas fee is so variable, it's hard to peg a specific.
Because it depends on how busy the processing is,
Yeah.
right?
I'll give you an example. So
The network. Yeah, that's it.
I've sold tons of stuff between Super Rare, Maker's Place on Ethereum, and still do. And you know, some's gone for thousands and things like that. So you know, I could put out a piece and pay, you know, the transaction fee to issue a new piece on Maker's Place. But and I know, you know, if I do that, I know, you know, a one of one will go for $1,000 or a couple thousand in the resale market, and that's fine. But for me, it's just the principle of it. I don't think it's good for wide scale mainstream adoption, and that's
right.
I'm still doing business on it. I'm still, you know, making sales, and it's you know, it's working for me. But I do a lot of mentoring in life, both through the church and in the arts, and I bring on new people, new collectors, new artists, both, you know, with success in the mainstream world and some that are brand new starting out. And so to start them out in such a system where you're just vying for the attention of really just a small amount of whales who have a lot of Ethereum already, they're set up for failure. because it's so narrow. How many people are actually willing to do this? It's really just the big players that are doing this, and that's not sustainable. So once these prices come down, I think, they'll figure it out eventually, I know, but just for now, they're not going to. And because of that, Wax and, some of the others are grabbing market share, and rightly so. I mean, Wax is bringing in brands like Major League Baseball and Godzilla, and William Shatner put out stuff. And yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but even Leonard Nimoy's family put out an NFT collection, and most of I think all the proceeds went to charity. And so I'm doing something similar. The collection I have coming out soon, art vending machine on Wax, 10% is going to go to Mercy Worldwide, and they're helping out with a school in near Lagos, and it's one of the poorest communities in the world, and they don't care about gas fees. They just want a system that works. Oh, cool! I'm a collector. Yeah, I can give to charity. Nobody has time we just spent like 20 minutes talking about Ethereum drama. Like that gets weird for people on the outside and boring for us. Like, how many times can we talk about it? Like,
right.
Going on for months. So with Wax, it's just a non-issue, and you just do business like you normally would in the real world.
Yeah, with the Wax, I actually was really excited to see MLB drop on there from Topps, because NBA Top Shot has been a thing, and it's cool, and I've bought some of them, and but basketball has never been my real interest. Like, I haven't been into sports very much lately anyway, but I always played baseball, and I was always into baseball. And I always collected baseball cards primarily. So I had crap tons of baseball cards from when I was a kid, and crap tons of Pokemon cards.
I used to.
Yeah. So I was all excited, but I was like, it's still basketball cards, right? It's still not quite as exciting as it should be. And then all of a sudden I see MLB drops on Wax, and I'm like, okay, now you have my attention. But yeah, cool. I'm over there. I think you were probably the first person that ever told us about Wax, to be honest. And then probably Bozak, I'm sure. I've heard of it numerous times. Like a year ago, when I was kind of first getting into the ETH side of the NFT space, there were people saying like, dude, create a Wax wallet. I've got this, I'm going to drop you an NFT. And I'm like, yeah, I definitely am going to do that. And then I just, forgot for like 12 months, and, but there's that. And there's a few other, blockchains out there that are doing a pretty good job at, making a no cost minting process and transferring process and all that. So it'll be interesting to see how those come up and compare to ETH, because like I said before, it's certainly not impossible at all that any of these chains could flip ETH overnight. I mean, if the right things happen and they do a good enough job building stuff, it's totally possible.
Yeah, I mean, none of this stuff is mainstream yet. I mean, talking about the mainstream art world, it's it's 60 billion or something like that in sales. 2 years ago, I think this past year the numbers are lower because of COVID and all that, but there's still high numbers. So the majority of those folks are still not in this. So it's still anybody's ballgame, and that's why it's like the people who get user friendliness down and bring in major brands and have stuff that just works well, without silly made up stuff like gas and stuff like that. Like, those are the ones who are going to win. And so far, I haven't seen anything better than Wax. And I've looked. I mean, it's not like I'm like some newbie that is doing all kinds of Wax, and I just want the price to go up. I mean, I don't have Wax, but it's not. It's not. I was the same, like just low. So because people like. If I have Ethereum, I'm not going to spend it on $100 fee if I think that 100 is going to be 300 in 2 years. But on Wax, it's more of a currency. You think of it like a currency. So okay, yeah, I'll spend on this. It's like me going to the grocery store and I'm going to buy some Hot Wheels. It's a transaction here and there. It's using like it's real currency, and that's I think the more I can simulate real life transactions and the fun of collecting art and trading, and that's what it's all about. Like I just, I was on the phone with my daughter, and she's one of the people. My oldest, I have two daughters. My oldest is in Chicago, and she's 30. She's an amazing content creator, and she's in this collection that we put out called Art Vending Machine. She has a bunch of pieces in there, but she also wanted to get her own wax wallet set up and stuff like that. And I was able to do that with her over the phone. It was super simple. And, don't be surprised if you start seeing her create her own NFTs, and not just through the collection that we put out, and then I sent her some NFTs, very easy. No fees. I'm just, this one, I can send her a drawing of herself, because I do a lot of drawings of my kids, send her that. And it's like you're on the street corner with your friends. Hey, I've got X-Men #1, but I got 2 copies. I've got Hulk 5, and you're just trading, and that's where the fun is. I mean, people talk about the investment and stuff like this, but wealth is so uncertain. I mean, that's the one thing we can be for sure. Wealth is uncertain. So it's about how can you enjoy this, to communicate, build some memories with people. That's really what it's about. And if you can make some money along the way, that's awesome. But for people who are trying to think that this is going to be their gravy train, and
it's what you call being in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, wealth has only one purpose in life, and that should be to make things easier for you to be happy, right? So everything has its own set of stresses, and even the extremely wealthy have stresses when it comes to money, just in different ways than people that don't have any have stresses, right? So we all have the stresses about finances. I think what you do with the money that you accumulate, or the money that you earn, to make yourself happy and to enjoy it, is more important than how much you can accumulate. Because you know what? You can't take it with you when you die, but the experiences that you have along the way because of it are what enrich your life and make that life worth living. So, it's all about having fun and doing what we enjoy. And it's kind of like this podcast for us. This is what we enjoy. This is what we love to do. We love talking to people, and we love sharing that experience. So regardless of the financial position, or regardless of that's why we do this. And that's what makes it the most fun for us. So, that being said, if you had any place in the world to visit, Joey, where would you go that you haven't been, and why would you want to go there?
Oh, wow. Well, I've been to Rome, and I love that. So I'd probably, because I'm a half Italian, half Greek, I'd probably say I'd like to go to Greece, because the pictures look beautiful. The relatives say it's beautiful. The movies, it looks beautiful. It's very inspiring. I know when I was in Rome, I drew. It was in my 20s or late teens. I drew almost the entire time.
When in Rome, did you do as the Romans do?
No, I really.
That old saying, right? When in Rome.
I stuck to my routine. I had some friends, and we were there for school. So I finished. I did 1 semester of art school there in the later years, and it was just great. Very inspiring. Just saw a lot, and some of those things end up in my art today, even too. Just the ability to just whip something up. You just see the prolific nature of the city. Like, it's just creativity just oozes in every corner of Rome. So that I think I took with me, so I could, like, the NFT that I'll probably give out sometime during the show to somebody. Like, I finished that in the hour before this show, and released it on wax.
Oh, sweet. I
started earlier, but to finish it could have took like a long time, but because of the kind of just the inspiration of experiences like being in Rome and seeing these, masters, and just seeing people really just crank it out. I kind of learned that, and I try to have that in my art too.
Awesome. I really enjoy seeing your art. It's very colorful, and it kind of seems to tie in with your cartoon background. Does it not?
So, well, when I started in oil painting, and all the colors in my comics, there was even more in oil painting, and I don't have any of them anymore. Some are sold, some I gave away, some I probably even threw away in various moves and stuff like that. Don't ask me why. But with oil paint, you could layer your colors, and you could make it transparent and create real crazy luminosity that you still just can't get in digital art, which is another benefit of the real world. But I try to infuse as much as that as possible in the digital art when I'm doing color pieces. It's like Play-Doh. You just go crazy and make cool stuff and want to inspire people, and just use the God-given creativity that's in all of us, really.
That's right.
So let's talk then specifically about the art vending machine project. And how did that come to be, and what's it all about?
So I've always been fascinated by, I started out in the zine world. This is like the 80s, where I was a comic book fan, mostly Marvels, and then I got into the independent comics like Cerebus and stuff like that. And then meanwhile, these things called copy machines were now more accessible, where you could go to the drugstore or go to the corner shop. This is before Kinko's and all that. But the hardware store had a copy machine. It was just amazing that you could press a button, and then basically this image would come out, a copy of something, artwork. And so that the beauty of being able to press a button and something, a paper, like a finished piece comes out of a machine, had always stayed with me. Like that image of just a weird box and then something cool coming out of it. I've always played with that as kind of a running theme in various parts of my art. And that's kind of where it started. And then I had this idea to do a slot machine. I've always wanted to make a slot machine that spits out random pieces of art to people. Instead of pulling the slot to get money out, you pull the slot, and every time you get art, but you don't know which art. Well, I was actually going to release a project called Art Slot Machine, but I talked to my lawyer, and she's like, well, here's the problem with it. You could do that, but you're going to get a lot of like false positives of the gaming commission thinking that you're running a slot machine, and where's your gambling license? And I didn't want to deal with that, so I just changed the name to Art Vending Machine, because it's not gambling anyways. So it's Art Vending Machine, and the whole idea is it's a vending machine. But there's a randomized component to it where all the art is in packs. It's all digital. So actually, when people go to buy the Art Vending Machine packs, they're going to be randomized in wrapped packages, so they're not going to know what they're going to get, but they will get an instant fine art collection if they buy the standard pack, which is 4 NFTs from 16 different international artists. Randomly, 4 of those will be there, or the master pack where there's 8 NFTs and more rare cards in those. So literally, it's just a few packs you could get from this thing that we're putting out on May 8th. You'll have an instant international fine art collection, and it'll be cool. So
that's awesome. I think I'll be that'll be one of my very first NFT purchases, because that excites me. That excites me.
It's awesome. I'll definitely be collecting some too, because the idea of, it's like pulling a Charizard out of a pack of Pokemon cards, right? That's
right.
I like the idea of turning it into that trading card concept, because art it's definitely one of those things that's meant to be shared and enjoyed. And like, I'm always one of those people that when the question is asked about whether or not you should display full resolution of your digital art or just leave that in the unlockable content of the NFT, I always feel like you should put it out there. Print the goddamn thing on the side of a building if you have to, like, show it and let it be seen. That's what it's all about. But then add some extra incentives in Unlock if you really want to, add some fun stuff. But I like the idea of just getting it out there and sharing it. And it's, then you get that randomization aspect of pulling stuff out of a pack. So that's exciting to me.
Yeah, I wanted to, so back in the zine world where I come from, you had the paradigm was everybody's all over the world, and they go into these catalogs. There's a few catalogs. One was called Fact Sheet 5, and I can't believe I still remember that name, but this is the 80s. But you would buy this catalog and look through, who's making what zines. Everybody was in this. Everybody who was anybody, and anybody could get in it. You didn't have to know somebody. You just send in your stuff, and now you have a listing. And so you would see a little picture and a little description, and that zine looks cool. But you had no idea what was in the zine. And so I try to do things that help to recapture that fun of it. And that's why I think the wax packages, the various ones, Street Fighter, or whatever, all the other ones, all the brands are bringing it, and then just some artists that are doing stuff that are pretty cool. Like that helps capture the fun of collecting, that it's not all, kind of stuck up artsy weirdness and strike a pose type stuff. It's none of that. It's just, let's just have fun, celebrate creativity and have a good time together. So that's really what I was going after. And then the other thing why I'm doing this art vending machine is the creative world has changed. Like now it's a case where you don't need to know how to draw to make really good art. Like you can literally just press buttons. And so so it's kind of a conceptual piece as well, even though there's a real product, where the people who go on now, they go on, Art Breeder or Deep Dream or wherever. There's a bunch of them, Photomosh, and Rob Ness has a few pieces in there that he made photo. Rob Ness is huge in crypto art. He's another OG like myself. And,
yeah, we just had him on.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he's awesome. So he did something in Photomosh, and it's a lot of just pressing buttons. Now, he also then drew. He drew it too to create an effect. So there's skill involved, but you don't, and so much, and the world's going to be where you don't need skill, but you just need to know what buttons to press, and out comes the art. And so I wanted to create that experience too as much as possible. And then this is like all phase one. So the packs are going to come out May 8th. People will get their NFTs in the packs. They can sit on them, keep them wrapped, and resell them in the market if they can find a buyer, which I imagine they will. Or they could open them and then trade them, collect them, sell them, whatever. Phase two is I'm in talks with some developers to turn these cards then into game items that will be able to be played in a game called Art Wars. I don't have a launch date for that, but that's in the works too. So I want people to be able to do stuff with their art. And on Wax, you're already able to do that on various platforms. So that's what I want to.
So I want to touch on something that you mentioned there about pushing buttons to make art, because that's something that I love kind of talking about, because it opens up another, I don't want to say paradigm, but like the next level in what has to happen to create art. So you get to this point where, you can push these buttons and create awesome art, but then, everybody else can do that same thing too. So now you have a situation where you have tons of people pumping out the same exact looking content. And so then it becomes another different type of skill level of like, okay, now who can push these buttons in a way that nobody else has seen before? And then who can push these buttons and these buttons and then these buttons, and then take elements of each of those button pushes and then combine them together to make even more stuff that people have never seen before. And so it's like they just keep stacking on top of each other, and it gets cooler and cooler and weirder, which is kind of like what you see in music and even, any type of art like that. So it's just kind of a fascinating experience to see it.
Oh, it's totally fascinating. It's still, the odd thing is that this has been going on for over a year, where it's accessible to the public for anybody on the internet, probably longer than that, where you're literally just pressing buttons to make art with no traditional drawing skills. But most people don't realize this, and they're not teaching. By and large, they're not showing the people that are paying thousands of dollars in art school for a degree that they're not sure how they're going to use when they get out. Because some guys just later in life realize, hey, I can just press buttons and make some NFTs. Cool, So it's definitely a disruptive innovation. And like I kind of came up on that stuff. I used to work when I was in Chicago for a number of years. I worked in disability services, and then we had an initiative at the Chamber of Commerce. So I worked in the Chamber of Commerce there, and so we just expected disruptive innovation to come along and destroy the old guard, and there's new paradigms. So it is going to open up new possibilities. It'll also flood the market with more art, so that people who are savvy in their relationships and what they promote and their message, and whoever God allows to rise to prominence, that's who's going to kind of have a bigger impact. And the other thing too, two things that I have to remember, and I went to Northern Illinois University, and I was basically, you go and you bring your painting your senior year, and you spend all this time on your masterpiece painting, and there's a critique, and the artist professor, he said something to me that really bothered me at the time, but it was very true. And it helps to understand the market too. He said, because I was trying to defend my artwork, and he didn't like the work, and he noticed that I was getting bothered that he didn't like my work, and he was telling me why. And he said, Joe, there's no art God. And I at first I didn't understand what he meant, but I understand now. It's like basically there's no human authority that can say this is art and this is not art, this is bad art, this is not bad art, because people have a wide variety of tastes. And that, like, I know, because sometimes my kids are in the arts too, and they make stuff where I'm just like, I would never even think to make that. And there's some stuff you see in the shows, and as NFTs, I'm like, I would never create that. I would never want to collect that. But other people are just eating it up like crazy. And it's the same with my work too. And that's just kind of how life is. There's different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. And to go along with that, I think there's a place for both. And it's challenging, I'm sure, for these artists that have paid thousands of dollars for a degree and have Bachelor of Fine Arts degrees and master degrees in art. But I think the difference is the techniques, and the difference is the skill set, right? So like those artists that are amazing at putting hand to paper and a medium to paper and creating a beautiful piece, right, with a natural skill that they've honed, versus somebody having a technological skill and being able to digitally manipulate and manufacture or create something digitally on the computer. So there's two different skill sets. Not one is better than the other. They're just different than each other. So as long as both of them have their realm and both of them have their place, then people will flock to what it is that they desire to see. Right.
Yes.
Whether it's a digital manipulation that is created into a piece of art, which some of these that I've seen are just badass and they've blown me away. And then there's other art creations done on oil, but done with oil and acrylics. And my wife's an artist, and just the stuff that she's created has just been incredible and amazing. So I think it's just different strokes, like you said, different strokes for different folks. And the other half of that is so many people are flooding into this that are solely focused on the monetary side of it rather than the actual beauty of it and what it is. So it's just going to be fun to watch this whole thing evolve. And I do have a question from somebody, from Paulie P. He's in the chat, watching the YouTube right now. And his question was, have you ever thought of a virtual art gallery in one of the virtual worlds and collaborating with them?
Yes, it's actually in the works. So,
nice. Nice. There you go, Paulie. That's the question of the night.
You're a wise man.
Love it.
So it's called the Uplift. And do you guys know about the Uplift? Okay, prepare. I hope you guys are sitting down. Prepare for this. All right. Picture. Okay, Minecraft?
Oh, yeah.
I knew about it because my kids played it, and then they had me play it, so I could kind of keep an eye on them. and all that. Well, a bunch of incredible people that started Uplift Art. One of them is M Blue, and another fellow named Corey. They created a Minecraft server that will have where you play Minecraft, but you can also, right now you could do this, but you could also be able to put your NFTs in there with a QR code that will go to the marketplace. So imagine being able to play Minecraft. Some of the worlds are survival mode where you have to fight your way to get to the gallery to see your art, and some galleries will be more in the other mode, creative mode, where you're not worried about dying or anything like that. And it's basically going to take the gallery experience to a new game level in the 3D world. So it's called the Uplift world. I think if you Google that, you'll find it. It's open to some of the builders now. So my son and a couple other fellas they're building the gallery now, and I think next week we're going to be putting the art that's an art vending machine in there, and soon people will be able to go in there and experience this. So yeah, I've done that, and of course, being on Ethereum, I've also been part of exhibits in Crypto Voxels a number of times through Maker's Place and some others. So yeah, those are cool experiences. But I get a little bored with the virtual world if I'm just walking around looking at art. So I think the idea where I could build stuff too,
Yeah.
and kind of fight my way through it and see some art. That's kind of more like real life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is cool.
My wife and I, I was in a show in LA with some of the other crypto artists. Brecky was there, and Max Osiris, and Rob Ness, and a bunch of others. I think Nanu might have had some pieces in it. And you're in LA and downtown LA, and it is kind of like a fight to get to the show. You got to fight through traffic, and we were also putting stickers out for the show, promoting it, and so there's like a real world vibe experience that's sometimes missing from these 3D worlds. So I think the ability to have a survival mode in a virtual gallery experience is going to take it to the next level. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Gamification always really amplifies everything for sure. But get that attention span kicking in, and then things really start to take off from there. They kind of reminded me that I just put out a tweet today. My oldest son released some NFTs on OpenSea, which I'm really considering maybe telling him to switch those to Wax and have him experiment with Wax. Now that we've had this whole conversation, even though I haven't taught myself anything new or learned anything specifically new about gas fees, I'm feeling like Wax is a good opportunity. And they're just like a little encrypted NFT. They're called the encryptors, and they have their names are encrypted. And so in the unlockable content, there's like the decryption key, so you can decrypt their name. But what made me think of it is their actual Minecraft skins. So the PNG file that's attached to the NFT can be used in Minecraft as a skin. So
that's brilliant. Your son
he came up with some, I don't know how he came up with it, but it was freaking brilliant. So
he would love the Uplift, I'm sure.
I was thinking that I need to check it out because I want to go in and play with it and start building a collection there. I've been looking for multiple places because I've got a huge collection that I've been buying for the last year or so, I guess. And I gotta find good places to display it, because like OpenSea and Rarible and that kind of stuff is cool, but it's not the same as like some of the virtual worlds, and finding different ways to put that collection up. And so I'll definitely be checking that out.
Yeah, virtual worlds are so cool. Oh my god, it's like, I mean, to me, it seems like they'd be more exciting than a video game, but I'm not that much into video games, so I guess I could see where that would come from. But so Joey, I have to ask you this question: if you could have one superpower and be able to do anything good with it, what superpower would you wish for, and what would you do with it?
Wow. That's an incredible question. I would like the ability to help people see things that they can't see. So kind of open up the hardened heart to make them be able to see the softer side of humanity. And I say this because I've been on that hardened heart side of life in the past, angry, bitter. So I love that ability for people to see it, but not control them. So then they can choose, okay, do you want to go back to that? Or do you want to stay with a soft heart that's, more approachable, warm, human? And again, because I say that because, I used to be on the cold side of life, and it's not a pleasant place to be. And I've wrote about it in my comics and stuff like that. And I also preach about it too sometimes.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, that'd be my superpower. And just on a totally selfish level, if I couldn't have that, I'd like to be able to fly. So
That's awesome. I love both those answers. That was great. It was
I want to
awesome.
fly, no doubt. I would ask you what body part you'd want to replace with what thing, but obviously we just end up with jetpacks and flying. So let's turn this around. If you could replace any part of your car with a functioning human body part, and don't worry, it wasn't removed from anybody, what would you replace it with, and what would you use it for?
I suppose a brain. Yeah, I'd give my car a brain. So I would need to use GPS, and we could have conversations, and maybe it could do tasks for me while I'm driving. Hey Siri, do such and such.
And have a hologram for a passenger. Now that would be cool.
There you
have a hologram for a passenger. Sit there and talk to the passenger on your travel. Keeps you awake. Reaches over and slaps you when you start to doze off. Now I think we're on to something.
Yeah, so you're finding the good parts. I'm over here just terrified
Elon Musk
of
watches this and actually develops something like that.
Cars that have user errors are just not. It's just not. It's a bad idea.
Right.
I'm terrified. I'm so terrified. I mean, there's so many great things, but now let's put humans as the brain of a car. I'm scared. I mean, I guess that's what we're doing, right? Though, I mean, people wrote the code.
Yeah.
For the ECU.
Yeah.
Well, now see,
there's human errors.
Cars. Not real cars, but Hot Wheels. So me and a couple friends, we collect. So the Hot Wheels give me ideas for art things. So you'll find a lot of stuff with wheels in my art. And
I love your Hot Wheels theme art, and
the
Hot Wheels.
I was such a Hot Wheels kid. I had so many collectibles when it came to Hot Wheels cars, and I used to take the trucks and like take big wheels and make these trucks like lifted back in the Bigfoot, and monster truck era back in the 80s. We used to make these little trucks, Bigfoot trucks and stuff like that. And awesome. I used to have a blast. And I think Matchbox cars and Legos were like my go-to do stuff with, because I love to build with Legos and create, and those were the days back then, and then you beat each other up with Stretch Armstrong.
I remember I'm still wounded by when you stretch them too far.
Yeah.
And that red ooze started coming out. Yeah, it's so sad.
It was totally sad. Joey, this was an amazing episode. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I definitely look forward to doing this again as things evolve and you continue to grow in this space. Guys, if you don't follow Joey, follow him on Twitter, follow him in his artwork ventures and everything that he's doing. It's all incredible. And thank you so much for joining us tonight, peeps. It's been amazing seeing this many people in the chat, and the conversations going on in the chat have been incredible. So thank you so much for finding interest in this, and we hope you enjoyed the show.
Yes. Can I say one last?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I want to give away an NFT. So what I'd like to do is, since the chat's going to end, just go to my Twitter, which is Joey Chips, like potato chips, but do Joey Chips, and just comment on something that proves that you heard this live stream. And I'll pick one of the comments. Just put your wax address, and I'll send you a free NFT. And this NFT is from Art Vending Machine, but a special one that also has an eye that has the crypto Campfire logo that is in it. So that's cool. And then of course, mark March May 8th for the Art Vending Machine pack opening on wax, and then all the info is in my Twitter, and you can also go to artvendingmachine.com, but take out all the vowels except for the A after art, and that's how you spell Art Vending Machine, with no vowels except for the A. And I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh man, this was great. This was
great,
totally. Guys.
It's a good show, Joey.
Absolutely. Without the audience, we wouldn't have a show. we'd have a guest, but we wouldn't have anybody to share him with. So the audience and the community, thank you so much for blessing us with following and with listening and enjoying our show with us that we love to put out for all of you. So until next time, you guys have yourselves a great evening. Joey, you take care of yourself. We look forward to seeing you around and possibly meeting you again in person one day here sometime soon.
Yes, I love that. Thanks, Professor. Thanks, Mitch. You guys are awesome. Bye, everyone.
Awesome. Thank
Take it
you,
easy,
sir.
man. See ya.
Peace.